Thanks to Simply Safe for sponsoring this video. Well, after pounding away, this is about as far as I got. I did not want to keep on beating on concrete. I've done enough of that, as y'all know. So I went to Harbor Freight and I bought a jackhammer. This was $600, an expensive Harbor Freight purchase, but I think it'll be well worth it for me. I have a lot of things where I just need to use one of these for 5 or 10 minutes, and I hate to go rent stuff when you just need to do something really quick. To rent a jackhammer can be $75, $100 a day. And then some rental places will let you run them for just like a couple hours, but even then, it's just so rushed, like you have to have it back literally in a couple hours. So I went ahead and picked it up. I'm going to use it on these steps and a few other places on this house. For right now, just going to bust out the steps, and you'll probably see this puppy again in use. Sure would have been handy a couple months ago, as you all know. after a little work, this is what I've come up with. Use the jackhammer to really remove in here and the front of the first step and this side, and then I'm starting to clear out in the middle. So that will give clearance for my stringers, and then the treads will hide all this, and I won't have to actually get rid of all this concrete. Here's the mess I've created in just that little bit, but the rest of this will stay. And the other thing too is it looks like that this was done in phases. So there used to be some sort of porch and some concrete steps, and then this porch, and then the top of these steps were poured over an existing steps and porch of some sort. So that kind of extends under the porch a little bit, so I didn't want to go and remove all that for that reason. So I'm probably going to put a 4x4 on either side, and then 4x4s at the bottom. These would just support the backs of the stringers. I'd bring something down to support within this concrete for the stringer in the center, and then the 4x4s on the outside will extend up to make the posts for the handrails, and then the handrails will go up and connect to the columns. When I was using the jackhammer, I accidentally broke this little point off the sidewalk. I was going down into that built-up piece right here, and it basically wedged over and cracked this. So I am just going to cut it in the same spot over here and then clean this up with the saw, and then it'll look the same. And I'm thinking those little points on the end of the sidewalk anyway might be in my way where the stringers come down and the handrails go down to the ground. So probably need to do it anyway, but that's one way to kind of fix a mistake, is sometimes look for another spot where you can make the mistake look symmetrical, and then no one's going to notice. Throughout this past year, one of my biggest goals was to make more videos, because that is one of the biggest requests from people. One way I was able to do that was through sponsored videos like this one, sponsored by SimpliSafe. They make a very easy to use and easy to install security system, and for only about 50 cents a day, you are professionally monitored 24/7. If anything occurs at all, the police will be notified. I want to take you around the house real quick, show you some of the devices in the layout of the system. So you can just go on their website or by phone and order a system that is specifically built for your needs. So in here, they've got a camera over here, entryway sensor here, I've got a water sensor in here, which is where the washing machine is. I've got glass break sensors, motion sensors, keypad by the front door, base station right here. Let me go ahead and arm it. I'm going to hit home.
SimpliSafe on. Home.
So now I am armed. For example, now this is set to where I'm here. So if I set it to where I was away, things like the motion sensor would come on, and then if I walked through the room, I'd set the system off. But I'll show you what happens. So the front door has been open. That could have been because someone walked out or someone came in. So this is requesting me to enter my PIN.
Alarm off.
And now the system's off. So I've de-armed it. All I have to do is hit home or away, and it's back on. So I'll just hit home.
Save on. Home.
It's nice because this kind lady inside the base station there tells you everything that's going on. So there's a glass break sensor. In my hallway, I have a smoke alarm. So it's nice because these are my normal smoke alarms here, hardwired all together in the house, hooked up to the electric. But this one is independent of that system and linked into the SimpliSafe system This one right here will just howl away if I'm not here, and no one would know something was going on. But this one right here will. So that's nice. The other thing that I have is the key fobs for arming and disarming it as you come through the door. And then we have a panic button in the bedroom, which will remain private. And you can just push that button if you just want to set the system off and have the police alerted. One of the big benefits of this system is the fact that you install it yourself. I don't really like waiting for things in regards to having someone come out, look at the place, then figure out what they need, then come back and do an install and have them in your home. I don't mean that in any kind of critical way towards a workman that needs to come in your house for something, but I prefer to do things on my own. With the Simply Safe system, you're able just to easily order it online or over the phone, buy exactly what you want, and then later you can add things in easily. No one knows what you have, no one has to come inside, and with their system being so easy to install, most of it happens with those little adhesive strips that are on the back, and if you choose to move something later on, it's simple. You just pull the tab out, replace that strip, and move that sensor. The only tool that I used, and that was specific to one of the devices, was the smoke alarm. Needed a drywall anchor. All I did was took a Phillips head screwdriver, poked a little hole in the wall, pushed that drywall anchor in, put the detector in place, and tightened the screw. I also used the same screwdrivers, one of those ones where you can flip it around from Phillips to flat, and tightened one little screw in the faceplate where the base station's power adapter plugs in. It's a real cool little, very simple. I just like how products are designed. So on the adapter it has a little tab with a hole in it, and when you plug it in, you can put the faceplate screw through that, and that keeps that adapter from falling out of the wall. This is a good sort of backup on that security system. It's very easy for something just to knock an adapter out of a wall for someone to plug it. This keeps it in place. And for me, having this system is all about my family. It's not about protecting my lamps and knickknacks that I have around the house. All that stuff is easily replaceable, but the family is not. They are the most important thing to me in the world. So having this system just sort of gives you that one more little advantage to help keep everybody safe, and in some cases just simply comfortable, which is, I think, a big part of life, is just feeling good about things. And then if anything was to happen, this is going to get the police alerted as quickly as possible. So again, a big thank you to Simply Safe. If you'd like to learn more about them, go to their website at simplysafe.com/homemadehome. You can check out everything they have to offer, and of course you can call them if you have any questions in deciding what system would be best for you. So thank you again to Simply Safe. Let's get back to the project. I've got everything figured out, so I'm going to tell you what I'm doing before I do it to where you can kind of keep up with what I'm doing while I'm doing it. This is a store-bought stringer. So I'm not actually going to use this one, but I bought this one just to kind of be able to figure it out. But it turns out it's pretty much perfect. So what I'm going to do is take that, use that as a template, and just trace it out on one of my 2x12s. And then this one's going back to the store. So I figured I would kind of hold this one in place and take measurements and see how I need to alter one of these in designing my own, but again, it's going to work out. What I'm going to do is have 3 of these, so one here, one here, one here, and then I'm using 2x12s as treads. Then there's going to be a 5/4 board that acts as a kick plate, so that'll stiffen up the whole thing. There's going to be a 2x4 that runs between these. It'll be nailed through the stringer into that 2x4 for here. Then the stringer in the center, I'll notch out the back side of the stringer and attach in from the back side. And then this porch is slightly angled down this way, so this is my lowest side, so I'm getting this side figured out. And then as it goes over here, it's going to be shimmed up just a little bit. These are fairly low steps, so it's not going to be like it used to be where there was like really big steps. It'll be slightly higher steps on this side, but nothing like what it was in the concrete way. Again, I know people are just like, why don't you bust all this up? Just the wood for these 3 steps was $210. That is not including what I'm going to use to do the little pickets or whatever you call them, the spindles on the rails, and it does not include those 5/4 decking boards and does not include any kind of hardware that I use. So that's just for the material to make the stringers, the treads, and the 4x4s, and a couple of 2x4s for use here and there, like that ledger and then the handrail coming down. So to build out this whole porch, it would be much, much more expensive, and I'd have to get rid of this porch if I didn't frame over top of it. And if I framed over top of it, I don't know, it would just start to get a little silly. So this is what I'm considering a decent temporary solution, potentially a long-term solution, but if in the future I want to redo this whole porch, it wouldn't be that crazy, but I might just, you know, I'm putting it off from now in the effort just to get this place done.
Good job! Good job!
You want to help, Daddy?
Working hard.
Come here.
You put this
Put them on you.
I don't see it. I help you, Daddy.
Yeah, hold on to it. You holding it? Mm-hmm. Hold on tight. Want to help me with something else? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the reason for all that noise was because that lip hangs over so much, 3.5 inches on that side, that when you stick the steps under that lip up against the porch, it was shortening the tread length or the tread depth of that first step. So it was going to look awkward, and I think it was going to feel a little awkward. So what I did is I took a measurement in from here and here, basically marked on top of the floor where the wall was, and then went 1 inch. So it has a 1 inch, consistent 1 inch overhang the full length. So whenever this was made, it was just kind of concocted together, and everything's a little bit uneven. You know, the overhang is more so down here than it is down here. But it is what it is. That has resolved that functionality issue. Might go back in there and just take care of some stuff with the grinder real quick, but for the most part that's ready. Now I can start really getting the steps kind of leveled in and set. This is called a powder actuated nailer. just got done screwing down the treads. You can see I drilled 3 holes. Those are countersinks, pilot holes, but I'm only screwing it on the back sides of the tread. These 2x12s are soaking wet with treatment material. I just bought them. So they're going to shrink a little bit in their width or the depth of each step. So I've just pinned it in the back, and after a couple weeks I'll screw them down after they've gone ahead and shrunk. If I was to go ahead and screw these down, I risk them splitting, so I want to avoid that. So just basically tacked them in the back. It is the next day, afternoon. Want to give a better look in the daytime. There's the whole steps and porch. Gives a better look at what the whole thing's going to look like. Again, much more inviting looking. Less of a project with each little step that gets done. So the steps are level. It's a sidewalk. It's out of level. The porch itself, luckily, is level. So that little sort of reveal line right there is nice and even. I'm not sure how I'll address this. Somewhere between leaving it as is and maybe leveling this out with some leveling concrete of some sort. I think the other little thing, I'm pleased with the way it turned out, is cutting that lip back. You know, just to give the full length, depth of that tread to where it's not awkward. Otherwise, I think when you're coming up, it would be a little thing you'd want to hang your toe up on if it was sticking as far out as it was. And I like the little detail about how it kind of kicks out around the columns. Things are a little uneven on this house, so you know that one looks like it sticks out further than this one. The distance from the house out to the columns is the same. It's the porch is uneven. So kind of mixing square with unsquare, and you just have to do your best. I think that is probably pretty much it. If I do a finish on these, it'll be after a while once these have had some time to dry up. Pressure treated lumber is just as wet as basically a tree that just got cut. especially when you're pulling it out of a brand new stack, which all this came out of brand new stacks of wood at Lowe's. This is the area I was talking about. This will be backfilled up to the height of the sidewalk, and then some little strips of wood just to kind of dress this off to hide the side of those steps under there. All this has basically just been washed away over time from a lack of gutters on the house. Well, it's got gutters, but they were just dumping down the ground, washing this area out. That is going to wrap things up for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Working on these steps is the first time I've worked on this house in over a month, so it's both good and bad to be back. I enjoyed my deviation from this project. I've been working on a lot of other stuff, filming, and that will be on the Homestead Craftsman channel whenever I put that together. It's part of an ongoing life change / project, and so on. Won't get too far into that, but I have the Homestead Craftsman channel, Square Inch YouTube channel, and then Homemade Home. So this one. And then I have Common Sense. That's another one. So all those channels I would love if they were all active, but it's just one of those things of when I separated all the channels out to multiple things, it's hard to stay on top one. Like I'll probably have a flurry of videos on the Homestead Craftsman channel soon. And then, you know, from September up until Christmas, I had a video almost, I guess, pretty much every single week throughout that time. So where I'm posting is representative of where I'm at and what I'm doing. So we'll see how it goes. I'm also kind of thinking about what I want to do with this channel moving forward once this project is done. From here, a lot of the steps that I'll be doing will be represented by one video, so like insulation, drywall, installing cabinets, doing the kitchen, things like that. So in 10 videos, for example, from now, I'll be rather far into this project, which is great, but it also presents the challenge of, well, what are you going to work on when you're done with this one? I have another house already ready to go, but it would basically be just a continuation of doing the types of houses I'm doing. I could present it in a different way, but I would also like to maybe introduce just something new to the channel as a whole, but in keeping with what I've been doing at the same time. One of my ideas that may seem wild to many is I've thought about building some sort of a cabin, whether it just be a framed cabin or a log cabin. I'm not sure exactly which direction I want to go. It's something I'm going to do anyway, and I probably would feature it on the Homestead Craftsman channel, but I thought about putting it on this channel just to kind of show other things one could do. Now, the particular thing I have in mind would be sort of a off-grid style cabin that would operate off of a generator at most. Otherwise, it just is what it is, a very simple cabin in the woods, basically. So y'all can let me know what you think about that. I think it would be exciting, and I realize that most of the people who respond to that will probably be people who would think it's exciting as well. But even if you're a person who never comments on anything, try to let me know what you think about that, because it will make a difference on the direction of the channel. If I'm just left to my own devices, there's no telling what I can do. So I appreciate you all's input. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you all for your continued viewership and support of the channel. Thank you to all the sponsors throughout the year, and especially to Simply Safe, the sponsor of this video. Again, you can check out their website at simplysafe.com/homemadehome. We'll just have to see what this year holds for us all and holds for this channel, and hope for the best. And y'all let me know your ideas for what you'd like to see more of. Again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.